rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events, this is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so I hope everybody's Sunday went well. I know mine was wet. It rained most of the day on Sunday, but that's, typically par for the course around here, I guess, especially in the somewhat springtime. But anyway, I hope everybody had a great Sunday. I know I was somewhat relaxed. And did you guys remember to post on your social medias the American Pride Month saying, and then hashtag Pride Month, and then put an American flag or some facsimile image thereof on your socials? I saw a couple people did, and in fact, I even saw Becky, our Australian contingent. She went ahead and put up her pride flag, which was her country's flag. And she also actually made a comment, I don't know, a couple episodes ago or whatever in the chat, where she was like, I wish Australians would be as proud of our flag as you guys are of yours. That's called patriotism, regardless of whether it's for for Australia or for America or for whatever country you're from. That's patriotism. That's patriotism for your country. And that is just absolutely fantastic. All right. So I've got a few stories to kind of gloss over, because everybody's pretty much has been talking about the pretty non-existent changes right now. We'll have to see if it holds long term, but pretty much non-existent changes in terms of people's attitudes toward Trump and towards Biden. In terms of the conviction or his convictions. And also I've got a video to play for you with some very good news, provided that, again, keep in mind, there's could be a lot of misinformation running around, but there's information coming out now about how well the Trump campaign has fared with this new news. Anyway, and then I've got some other stuff in here with regards to Fauci and he talked on the Hill today and so on and so forth. And yeah, well, we'll get right into that here in just a minute. Let's go ahead and get our Pledge of Allegiance taken care of. Tonight is a news submission by Definitely Not Karen over on Rumble. So this is a new submission. Please stand if you are of mind. Please stand. Remove your hat. Place your hand over your heart and join in with Definitely Not Karen over on Rumble and the recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And thank you, Definitely Not Karen, for that. If you'd like to get your voice saying the Pledge of Allegiance here on the program, all you have to do is record yourself saying it, and then, of course, get me the audio file by sending it in to fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans at AmericanPerspective.online, and I'll get you into the rotation for sure. All right, so I have a special shout out today for my TGRN CEO and co-owner, Jonathan Oogie Richards. Happy birthday today, man. Well, believe me, this is your dream. TGRN is your dream, and hopefully we're satisfying that dream for you. So I don't know if he's necessarily going to be listening right now, but he might. Anyway, happy birthday, man! Enjoy your another trip around the sun, courtesy of course, God. So, happy birthday, man. I do appreciate that. Let's talk a little bit about TGRN, True Grit Roots Network. Right now, we have a 365-day, 24 hours, etc. Channel for blues. And yes, Mark over on Facebook says he probably likes blues. Gee, I wonder why. But anyway, tonight, after my show, you might want to slide on over to tgrn.net and listen to Vinnie Marini in his live broadcast of Music on the Couch. Tonight, he has Lara Price, or Lara Price, could be pronounced either way, I'm not quite sure. But at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time, he's going to have her on live. He also has other live artists as well. He usually goes through about 3 interviews and plays all of their music. You should check it out. Music on the Couch airs at 8 p.m. Central to 11 p.m. Central. It's a 3-hour show, so you can go and check that out at tgrn.net. You can listen right through your browser, which, by the way, that also works on mobile phones too. Or you can download our app, or you can find us in the Live 365 catalog of digital radio stations, or if you have the Odyssey app, that's AUDACY, the Odyssey app, you can listen to us there. Or if you have iHeartRadio, you can listen to us on iHeartRadio too. Check us out, TGRN Blues. That's True Grit Roots Network out of Austin, Texas. We would appreciate that for certain. All right. So let's get going on the wonderful, wonderful news. Well, here, rather than stealing any thunder from the Trumps, let's go ahead and head on over and listen to an interview that Eric Trump was doing on Fox News with Maria Bartiromo, and I'll just let him tell you about what happened. Take a listen.
So what have you seen in the way of money raising? I spoke with President Trump yesterday. He said it's nearly $200 million. That is astounding. Is that number correct? Where does that number come from?
Well, this might be a little inside information, but as I was leaving my house about 37 seconds ago, I asked my wife, what are we up to now? And she said, just in terms of small dollar, we're well over $70 million. This is $21 donations, $43 donations, right? Small dollar donations. If you add the large dollar donations to it, you're over $200 million, but you're over $70 million. And by the way, Maria, wow, 30% of those people have never been seen before by a political party, right? I mean, these are Americans who are pissed off. They're coming out of the woodwork, and they want to support a guy that they just believe is getting bamboozled by a system. And we saw it with impeachment 1. We saw it with impeachment 2. We see it where they weaponize every liberal DA and AG across the country with one intent, to take him down, to slander him, to ruin his reputation, to try and divide his family, to try and bankrupt him, to throw him in jail, to do whatever the hell they can do. And America sees through it. They know exactly what's going on. Al Capone had 1 count, 1 felony count. Wow. Donald Trump has 34, over $130,000 8 years ago. A case that everybody dropped, a case that no one would pick up, and something that was completely legal.
Yep. So reportedly, over $200 million just since his conviction has occurred. That is just amazing. And 70 million of that over 200 million has come from all small donor donations, all small numbers, people donating $10, $20, like he was saying, $43. You can go to DonaldJTrump.com. That's DonaldJTrump.com. unconventional.com and just donate whatever you can afford. We know money is tight and everything else, but we've got to keep the money rolling in. This is probably the most important election in our lifetime. The most important election in our lifetime. And we have to do this today. Go to Donald J. Trump, all one word.com, and go ahead and get that money in. Even if it's just a single donation, a single dollar donation or whatever, that's the best thing you can do. But it's not just donations that are happening. It's happening all over the place. Check this out in the Epoch Times. These black and Hispanic Biden voters plan on voting for Trump. They are saying that their values are no longer represented by in the Democrat Party, and so more and more minority voters are switching to being Republican voters. Check this out. Wender Angles, or it could be Angeles, I don't know, arrived in the United States from Peru in 2006. He registered to vote as a Democrat because he related the party to the word democracy. He got involved with the party and voted for Barack Obama. But as he learned about the two parties, he felt the Republican Party was a better fit. He says later on, I was like, oh, wait, this is not what I believe. But at the beginning, I was basically surrounded by Democrats. Now, you got to wonder how many of these people are like this, where they just join because they think Democrats mean democracy. Democrats don't mean democracy. Believe me. So, apparently, a April poll from the Wall Street Journal, according to this piece here in the Epoch Times again, April poll from the Wall Street Journal shows that 30% of black men in battleground states intend to vote for former President Donald Trump. Hispanic voters who lean Republican are approaching parity, meaning they're approaching being equal with those who lean Democrat. So that means an almost 50-50 split. A recent New York Times Siena College poll indicates the percentage of black voters favoring President Trump over the past 4 years has risen by 19 points. And we have other folks that are doing it as well, like Rakesha Brown, 34, a Burton, Michigan social worker, voted for President Barack Obama and Joe Biden. She lost confidence in President Biden almost immediately after the 2020 election. She told the Epoch Times, I'm not happy with all the illegal aliens coming into this country. I'm afraid for our country. We're doing a lot for the rest of the world, but we're getting nothing back, she says. She sees Trump as being a stronger leader, especially in dealing with terrorism. She values her Christian faith, which conflicts with President Biden's social agenda, particularly relating to homosexuality and transgender policy. Trump speaks the truth, she said, though his communication style is not always to her taste. I had to get used to that. I tend to agree with that. I have a little bit, I have a different perspective when it comes to that. Another individual, Alexandra Knoten, Knoten, who was a black woman from Georgia, was a self-described true Democrat. Watching her family and friends vote blue, being a Democrat was ingrained in her. In recent years, she started paying attention and doing her own political research. She decided to vote for President Trump after comparing how things were when he was in office to how things are now with President Biden. When Ms. Knoten announced her plan to switch sides, the feedback from family, friends, and coworkers was a lot of positivity, both in terms of expressing pride for her ability to speak her mind and respect for each other's own opinions, she told the Epoch Times. She said, a lot of people are thinking of voting Republican for the next election. A lot are actually switching over, and I'm actually pretty surprised. Again, Gallup surveys are showing more black and Hispanic voters switching parties since the 2020 election. Survey found that 77% of polled black adults identified as Democrat or leaning Democrat in 2020. That ratio had shrunk to 66% last year. The poll is based on Gallup telephone surveys conducted throughout the year. So there's another one. Mr. Rivera, who is Hispanic, notes that for years political analysts have lumped minorities into the Democrat Party. He says that this is changing as Hispanics are starting to see that Republican values align with their own. He says this opens up a huge opportunity for Republicans to regain presidency and seats in Congress as well as down ballot seats. The Republicans cannot take anyone for granted if we want big wins in 2024. The other side of the coin is that Republicans need to work together and across the aisle to get things accomplished. Here's another person. Jennifer Rodriguez, 39, came to the United States from the Dominican Republic when she was 20. When she took the oath to become a citizen, she registered as a Democrat because it seemed to her that Hispanic people were Democrats. She says that's just how it is. You're Hispanic, you're a Democrat. Republican is for, sorry for the expressions, she says, rich or white people or something like that. Ms. Rodriguez, a mother of 5 in a blended family, spoke to the Epoch Times from her Reading, Pennsylvania kitchen. Under President Biden's administration, she decided to change her affiliation and switch to Republican. I feel like he doesn't go well with my goals, like the way that I want to raise my children. I feel like he goes a lot against my beliefs and things that I want to teach my children, Ms. Rodriguez said. She also feels as if the administration is chipping away at her rights. This is happening everywhere. It's all over. There's more in this article that they're all talking about. This just goes on and on and on. Okay? On and on and on. And it's happening not only, believe it or not only in the black and Hispanic communities, but also celebrities. Left-wing celebrities who were on board with the left-wing agenda and everything else, they're all starting to slide away. They are. As you can see, if you were watching on Rumble, you can see a picture of Dwayne Johnson, better known as The Rock. He came out and said that he was not going to vote for Joe Biden this year, which is, I mean, whatever his political affiliations might be after 2024, I'm good to go with him voting Trump. That'll work. But it's not just him. Even Charlemagne the God, if you recall, Charlemagne was interviewing Biden when Biden made that very famous statement. If you don't know who to vote for, basically, if you don't vote for me, then you ain't black. Yeah, well, he's known to be a liberal, and according to this Red State article, he has felt pressured this year to conform blindly to the left's agenda. On May 22nd, he actually defended himself against co-hosts on The View when they pressed him to endorse Biden by name. He said, "Why do y'all need us to say this if we don't feel comfortable saying it?" Although he didn't speak favorably of Trump at the time, he did raise concern about preserving our democracy. Basically said, I'm going to vote my best interest, and I'm going to vote for who I think can preserve democracy. Now, he did continue to go and say, so if I think both candidates are trash and I don't feel like endorsing one, would you rather me endorse an individual or endorse the fact that, hey, we need to go out and protect democracy? Well, you all know about Michael Rappaport. Oh, my gosh. He was a Trump hater throughout 2016 all the way to 2020. Well, he said that he couldn't support Biden anymore over his handling over the Israel-Gaza war. And he basically said, quote, "I've never thought I would say this. I'm not voting for Biden. You're not getting my vote." Cardi B also, just like she's criticizing Joe Biden. It's just like, damn, y'all, not caring about nobody, she said. Then it gets me really upset that there is solutions to it. There is a solution. I know there's a solution because you're spending billions of dollars on any fucking thing. Yeah, anyway. And those are just a few of them. Just a few of them that are going on. In fact, well, not that he was ever really a Biden supporter. He's been a staunch supporter of Trump all this time. One of my favorite actors in all of life, James Woods. James Woods. Hollywood's national treasure shreds liberal lies. If you're not following him on X, let me tell you, he has just this fantastic thing. He does this thing. It's called the hashtag Instablock. And he usually precurses that with some other joke whenever he's going to block some stupid idiot on X. But he's a great patriot. He's a son of the American Revolution. He advocates for them. He also posts daily things like what I read in the Almanac. He posts these things from the Revolutionary War. He actually gets them from a website. I think I highlighted it before on this broadcast as well. But he's constantly been just a consistent voice of reason. And even he is saying nobody has divided this country more than Joseph Biden. And he definitely has, meaning Joseph Biden has divided this country more than anyone else. Even, I mean, you could even say even than Barack Obama. Although Barack Obama had 8 years worth, Joe Biden's only had 3.5. But anyway, he's, here. You should really follow James on X. I reached out to him once and I said that I would try and get him on this program, and he responded with, talk to me in the fall, which was last fall. I got to admit, I really should have jumped on that. But to be honest, I mean, that was right after Oppenheimer came out, and he was starting to win all those awards and everything. So I got a little stage fright with him. I might try again. I mean, it doesn't ever hurt to ask, I guess. No, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? He can just say no, I suppose. But anyway, I would love to get him on this program. I'd love to talk to him. MIT grad, went into acting. He is a smart individual. He's a great actor. I've loved him in just about everything that I've ever seen him in. Just a phenomenal actor, can play both the good guys, bad guys, people with nuances. Just a great all around guy. I'd love to share a whiskey with him for sure, or whatever he likes to drink. Anyway, so that's just a smattering of the fantastic news that we've gotten. Now, keep in mind, the polls haven't really been affected by this. In fact, I've taken a look and they haven't really changed. And it's not as though Trump actually got a huge polling bump out of this, but it's also the fact that Biden hasn't gotten a huge bump out of this. Literally, the polls right now are completely unchanged in terms of, overall, who's going to do possibly, who's going to get the most votes in November and all of that stuff. None of that has really changed. Now, again, I caution you, it might be early. I say that out of excitement just because of the fact that if something drastic were to happen, you'd think it would have happened by now, but we'll have to see. The next couple of days, maybe the next week, are really going to be telling in all of this. Well, if you want another indication of Trump's popularity with the average American people, Trump was at UFC 302 on Saturday, and UFC 302 was held in New Jersey. Well, when he walked in, he got literally like one of the fan favorite fighters kinds of an entrances. Everybody was up cheering his name, clapping, so on and so forth. just having a fantastic blast. Well, I guess while he was there, which, I don't know why he would do this. I mean, people on X are like waiting for him to just come back. Now that his account's been reinstated and everything, they're just waiting on X for him to show up. But he went ahead and, according to this post-millennial piece, and I've actually seen it in a couple of other articles too, Trump opened up a TikTok account at UFC 302. And most people are like, what the hell? Why is he going to TikTok? What's the deal with TikTok? Well, here's the deal. Joe Biden's had a TikTok account for almost 3 years, I think. And he's only got a little over 350,000 followers. 350,000 over 3 years on TikTok, okay? Well, Trump opens up his TikTok account, and within days, he's at 1.6 million followers immediately on TikTok. Now, that could be bots. It could be, the Chinese or whatever. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, just the fact that the man just goes and opens up an account and all of a sudden he's like, bam, I got 1 million plus followers, is just gives you an indication as to what might be going on. He did a debut video, a 13-second clip featuring highlights of his walk into the New Jersey event. And that quickly went viral, and he just racked up all kinds of followers. UFC President Dana White introduced Trump in the montage, saying the president is now on TikTok. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, the Biden campaign hovers around 335K, according to Libby Emmons on X, who cross-posted the video. But, yeah. 1.7 million likes is what the video quickly garnered. And then, of course, he was reaching 1.6 million followers. Oh, my gosh. So, folks, I mean, let's just face it. There is a huge groundswell movement that we just... huge groundswell movement that is going to potentially carry Trump into 2024. Now, we can't rest on our laurels. Let's just be honest here. We can't rest on the fact that this is a big push. We still got some time between now and then. We've still got a bunch of different things that can be happening between now and then that could help or hurt the president, the former president anyway, and soon to be president in 2024 if this keeps up. But we've got to make sure that we keep this momentum moving forward. We've got to make sure that this momentum keeps us going all the way into November, regardless of what happens in October, which, by the way, I don't know if anybody saw this, but the Georgia appeals court, I think, or Supreme Court, whatever it was, picked up Trump's appeal on Fani Willis and her disqualification on the case, and now a hearing has been scheduled for October 4th for that hearing to occur. So there's a potential October surprise right there. It's to go and have Fani Willis kicked off the case in the Georgia election interference BS case. That would be just fantastic for that to happen. That'd be a great October quote-unquote surprise. Might not be the October surprise, but that would be awesome. But we'll have to keep an eye on that as that gets closer, and we'll see what happens. Well, they are no longer masking what their intent is. In fact, the Biden campaign, their spokesman, actually came out and said the quiet part quite loudly, I must say. Check this out here in the Daily Fetched. Biden campaign spokesman will end the threat of the Trump presidency once and for all. Once and for all. Junior Biden campaign spokesman Michael Tyler appeared on Fox News to discuss the garbage Trump verdict and Biden's reaction to it. Tyler said that the 2024 presidential election was not normal. Not a normal one because of Trump's supposed threat to democracy, stating that Biden will end the threat of Donald Trump once and for all. Yeah. They said he is a fundamental, persistent, and growing threat to our democracy. These people are nuts. They are just nuts. And you juxtapose that with the idea that, again, Trump raised potentially over 200 million in his campaign since his guilty verdict. Yeah, sure. These people are literally nuts. In fact, there was a story that broke, I think, last week, but I didn't bother to cover it really, or I didn't cover it at all, where they were trying to, Congress was trying to, somebody in Congress, some Democrat dotard in Congress was trying to get the Secret Service detail to be pulled from President Trump. The bill that was introduced said that they wouldn't provide Secret Service protection to anyone who had been a convicted felon. Folks, they are looking to put Trump away. Whether that's a literal put him away or put him into the ground, I don't know. But I sincerely hope that the Secret Service is protecting that man, because I got to tell you, we are living in potentially dangerous times. Now, one thing that happened and has been consistently talked about on the socials, well, before I get into this, let me go ahead and tell you about theflagshirt.com. That's theflagshirt.com. You know these shirts that I keep wearing every night? They've got these wonderful patriotic patterns. Like tonight, I am wearing the American flag themed polo shirt. I love all their cotton polos. They're true to size. They fit well. They're comfortable. And they have brilliant, vibrant prints and colors. A lot of them have like the Constitution on them. There's one in particular that I wear that has words from the Declaration of Independence on it. They all have flags. Many have eagles on them. Just pure proud of our country. Head on over to theflagshirt.com. They have a Flag Day sale going on right now where there is up to half off selected patriotic styles right now. There are up to half off on select patriotic styles at theflagshirt.com for their Flag Day sale. And hey, if you want to add a $5 off coupon for that, you can go to flagshirt.americanperspective.online. That's flagshirt.americanperspective.online and take that code that you get at that website address, put it in the promo code at checkout, the promo code box at checkout, and you would be given a $5 off coupon for that order. Go to theflagshirt.com, check out all of their outfits and all of their accessories. They just got a huge amount of stuff that you can go and pick up. They're all patriotic, all red, white, and blue. And get yourself patriotized. All right. So, one thing that's been running around on the socials, honestly, has been about the fact that Joe Biden hasn't had any interaction or any involvement with this Trump trial. That Alvin Bragg, Fani Willis, and Jack Smith have all been acting completely of their own accord without Joe Biden getting involved. Well, guess what? That is, no surprise here, a complete and utter lie. So here in the Federalist, Joe Biden's fingerprints are all over the criminal prosecutions of Donald Trump. And here's why. So, you remember this guy who was the lead prosecutor for Bragg during the trial was Matthew Colangelo. Matthew Colangelo. In December of 2022, Colangelo left the Biden Department of Justice to jumpstart the criminal case against Trump. Biden had previously named Colangelo his acting associate attorney general, the third highest ranking official in the DOJ. Now, why would he leave that to go and help a district attorney in Manhattan, of all things? We're not talking about like a state AG. We're not talking about going from the, third highest ranking official in the DOJ, the federal DOJ, to go to like a state AG position. No, we're talking about going to be just a prosecutor during the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg prosecution of Donald Trump. Now, a lot of people looked at Colangelo as being like, the ringleader on this, but the rigging started a lot earlier. According to a previous report by Margot Cleveland here in The Federalist, the incestuous relationship between the Manhattan DA's office and Team Biden began as early as mid-February of 2021. Then Bragg's predecessor, District Attorney Cyrus Vance, arranged for private criminal defense attorney and former federal prosecutor Mark Pomerantz to be a special assistant district attorney for the Manhattan DA's office. The New York Times reported at the time that Pomerantz was to work solely on the Trump investigation. During a temporary leave of absence from his law firm, Paul Weiss, Rifkind, Wharton, and Garrison. But even before being sworn in as the special assistant to the Manhattan DA, Pomerantz had reportedly, quote, been helping the case informally for months. Even Democrats' most reliable old gray lady acknowledged the hiring of an outsider is highly unusual move for the prosecutor's office. So once the Manhattan DA hired Pomerantz, two of his colleagues, Alyssa Abuoff and Caroline Williamson, also took leaves of absence to serve as special assistant district attorneys on the Trump investigation. So for a law firm to lend not one, but three lawyers to just the Manhattan DA's office seems rather magnanimous until you consider Paul and Weiss's previous generosity to Joe Biden. During Biden's first run for the White House, the law firm hosted a $2,800 per plate fundraiser for about 100 guests. Brad Karp, the chair of Paul Weiss et al., also topped the list of the Biden fundraisers, bundling at least $100,000 for the then candidate. At the time, Karp wrote in an email, as someone who cares passionately about preserving the rule of law, safeguarding our democracy, and protecting fundamental liberties, I've been delighted to do everything I possibly can to support the Joe Biden-Kamala Harris ticket. This goes on further because it's not just limited to the Manhattan DA's office. In August of 2023, Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis charged Trump, which we all know, I just talked about it. Earlier this year, court filings and testimony in the case related to motions to disqualify her and Wade, so on and so forth. But Wade had traveled to D.C. for an interview with the White House, according to Fulton County records. That was just 3 days after Trump announced his 2024 candidacy for president, because the Fulton County's DA's office had met with the White House counsel in May of 2022. They also have their fingers all over the remaining 2 criminal cases from Jack Smith. President Biden, according to an April 2nd, 2022 New York Times report, quote, as recently as late last year confided to his inner circle that he believed former President Donald Trump was a threat to democracy and should be prosecuted. The Times claimed that Biden has expressed frustration with Garland's deliberative approach and that the president believed Trump should be prosecuted. Biden has also said privately that he wanted Mr. Garland to act less like a ponderous judge and more like a prosecutor who is willing to take decisive actions over the events of January 6th. The Times reported. Yeah. This is all about Joe Biden. This is all wrapped around Joe. Every single one of these cases, they have White House records where all of these people joined and went to the White House to discuss these cases well before the cases were brought in most cases. And this is just, why anybody can actually vote for Joe and not realize that this guy is about as corrupt as the day is long is just completely beyond me. So a top aide, later on in that piece that I was just showing you, a top aide to Smith, Jay Bratt, met with White House officials multiple times just weeks before Mr. Smith indicted President Donald Trump, the former president, Donald Trump. And, of course, that particular case was in regards to the mishandling of classified documents. That case has still been delayed based on the fact that the FBI agents executed the search warrant obtained by the Biden administration had failed to keep the documents seized from Mar-a-Lago in the same condition that they were found. In other words, evidence tampering, with the order of the materials being totally mixed up. At the same time, it was revealed that the classified cover sheets that were depicted in the photographs were placed there by federal agents. The leak of those photographs falsely portrays the former president as being in possession of documents bearing those classified cover sheets, which they weren't. Again, all of this, Biden can continue to say, I wasn't a part of this. I wasn't a part of this. Mark over on Facebook says, rightfully so, Biden could not have thought this up by himself. No, certainly not. Not today. Especially not because of, dealing with the fact that he won't even release the audio tapes of the Her interview. There's no way. But do not believe under any circumstances that Biden is not in the middle of all of this. One other thing that is flying under the radar, by the way, because of all of this Trump case stuff that's happening. I can't even believe I'm going to be saying this. New York Post. Biden admin offers mass amnesty to migrants as it quietly terminates 350,000 asylum cases. Folks, they want the illegal aliens here. They want them to vote in our elections. They have no interest whatsoever, none, to protecting the integrity of our elections at all. They have no desire to even remotely find these people and get them out. So data apparently has been brought up that since 2022, more than 350,000 asylum cases filed by aliens, okay, they say migrants in the piece, but it's aliens, have been closed by the U.S. government if the applicants don't have a criminal record or are otherwise not deemed a threat to the country. Now, think about that for a second. They just closed them. They just said, oh, this guy, he doesn't have a criminal record and not deemed a threat to the country. Yeah, we're just going to close that. But here's the problem. They're not granted or denied their asylums. Their cases are just terminated. Their cases are just removed from the legal system and are no longer required to check in with authorities. So where do these people go? They can legally and indefinitely just go around throughout the U.S. without any fear of deportation, effectively letting them slip through the cracks, which again, that's what the Democrats want. They want these people to be able to vote. They want these people to go around the country and vote in our elections and everything else. And according to Andrew Arthur, a former immigration judge who works for the Center of Immigration Studies, he says this is just a massive amnesty under the guise of prosecutorial discretion. You're basically allowing people who don't have the right to be in the United States to be here indefinitely. ICE officer says, an ICE officer told the Post, please let everyone know what's really going on. In 2020, during the Trump administration, 48,000 migrants were ordered removed from the U.S. by immigration court judges. Fewer than 20,000 people were actually granted asylum, and 4,700 people had their cases closed or were otherwise allowed to remain in the country, according to data collected by the Transactional Records Access Clearinghouse. In contrast, in 2022, under Biden, 36,000 were ordered removed, 32,000 were awarded asylum, and 102,550 had their cases dismissed or otherwise taken off the books. In 2023, there were 149 cases that were taken off the books. And so far in the current financial year, which financial year started in August, which ends September 30th, I should say, the numbers are certain to surpass that with 114 cases closed already. Folks, we have got to get this guy out of office. Totally out of office. And according to the track, the people that I told you earlier, since Biden assumed the office, 77% of asylum seekers have been allowed to remain in the country. That equates to 499,000 of the 648,000 who have applied for asylum in the U.S. in that time. Current backlog of asylum cases stands at 3.5 million, shaving more than 100,000 people a year off makes the administration look better, a source told the Post. Once the cases are closed, migrants are no longer in removal proceedings and would be subject to deportation. Usually, the government's default position for all aliens admitted at the border. A Washington-based immigration lawyer, Hector Quiroga, told the Post that if the case gets dismissed, you're basically back to nothing, clarifying that aliens with dismissed cases can't receive benefits or even a work permit. I thought we had to bring these people in so that they could work. So they could work our fields, so they could work and do the jobs that the Democrats say, like clean houses and stuff like that, because the Democrats think that's all they're good for. These aliens are under no obligation to leave the U.S. Once the cases are dismissed, person's no longer monitored by ICE or is even required to regularly check in with them. unlike all of the others who are still pursuing their asylum claims. This is exactly what they want. They want these aliens to be here so that they can vote Democrat all of their lives. Just like what I pointed out earlier, all of those people who came here and are like, hey, we've come here. We just vote Democrat. We just vote democracy. That's it. Yeah. All right. So I got a couple things real quick here with regards to Fauci and drug makers. So Fauci made an appearance on the Hill today. And he admits, I don't know if he necessarily admitted this on the Hill, but he admits that the science behind the masking kids and the 6-foot social distancing was made up. He goes, it just sort of appeared. I don't recall like a discussion of whether it should be 5 or 6 or the science behind masking kids. He claimed that the CDC just pulled it out of their ass. I mean, he said that he didn't quite say it that way, but that's pretty much what he was blaming. He was blaming the CDC for that. There was no scientific evidence to support any of that. And these are all based of his transcripts from the closed door interview, and now he's in the public side of it. Yeah, this is like I said before, guys, drip, drip, drip. It's all coming out. Slowly, but it's all coming out. He also admitted, according to the transcripts before the committee, that the vaccine mandates during the pandemic forced on individuals, regardless of whether or not they had natural immunity, might have caused an increase in vaccine hesitancy for the future. You think? He also admitted that the mandates were not sufficiently studied prior to the pandemic. Oh, you freaking... Yeah. So he was asked before Congress on whether or not he had anything to say about the release of the testimony and how it had been reported. In response, he addressed the social distancing guidelines that he championed in 2020. He said that while he had previously said the guidelines just appeared, he wanted to clarify that came from the CDC. Yeah. He's lying to cover his ass. Now, why would he be lying so much? Well, could have something to do with following the money. Following the money. Oh, right here in the Epic Times, drug makers' secret royalty payments to Fauci's NIAID jumped after the pandemic. They had secret royalty payments from drug companies to the scientists, researchers, executives, and other employees of the National Institutes for Health, NIH. They jumped following the COVID-19 pandemic in 2021, according to a new report from a nonprofit government watchdog. In 2022 and 2023, pharmaceutical and healthcare companies paid the NIH a sum of $710,381,160 in third-party royalties. These were payments healthcare companies made to the NIH, its leadership, and scientists to license medical inventions created in federal, taxpayer-funded labs. This is according to openthebooks.com, their report. The NIAID collected nearly all of the $710 million according to the report. It collected just over $690 million of it. So the $710 million total for 2022 to 2023 is double the $325 million OpenTheBooks.com previously reported was paid to NIH employees between 2009 and 2021. Did you catch that? Did you catch that? $325 million for roughly 11 years, if my math is correct. No, 12 years. So they only got between 2009 and 2021, they only picked up $325 million. But a single year from 2022 to 2023, they picked up double that amount to $710 million. Among the recipients of royalties was the NIAID's Dr. John Mascola, who was selected to manage Operation Warp Speed, the government's crash program to develop a vaccine. Great. Like I said, follow the money. Follow the money. So, according to the report, Moderna received more than $10 billion from the government between 2020 and 2022. And from 2013 to 2017, the government paid Moderna $60 million for development work on the mRNA technology. So they paid. Oh my gosh. I just can't. Yeah. Yep. This is horrible. Horrible. I'm telling you, it's just going to be a matter of time. It's coming out. It's drip, drip, drip. And eventually we're going to see the entire freaking thing again. If you've been injured, please call the law offices of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. Anyway. Okay. Well, Trump in a final bid, just as the last little bit here. Trump in a final bid to seal the deal for all of those who are out here saying we're going to vote Trump. Well, he's just sealed it one more time. He basically said that he will declassify files on JFK, files on 9/11, and on Epstein during his second White House term. He was being interviewed by Rachel Campos Duffy at the time, where she asked him if he would declassify the 9/11 files and the Epstein files and the JFK assassination over the weekend. This was a over the weekend thing. It was a Fox and Friends weekend interview. But he was asked about that, and he basically said yes, that he would. I hope he does. He also, he also mentioned it, I guess, last year in July, where he was talking in a Truth Social post, vowed to release the remainder of the JFK files that are still classified when he returns to the White House. Anyway, yeah. Oh, this is just like he could get any more people to come and vote for him. I just don't understand. All right, folks. Couple of programming notes to let you know about. So upcoming here Friday. Friday is my daughter's graduation from high school, and we're going to take them on a 24-hour binge thing. So, anyway, so there will be no show on Friday. Just as a heads up, there will be no show on Friday for certain. Here's the other thing, folks. My normal day job, I will be on call for a week starting tomorrow. I am going to try to do a show, but keep in mind every day, like I've been doing. But keep in mind, if I get an emergency call from my normal 9 to 5 place of business, I will have to step away quickly. Therefore, I will try and have a show all the time, but I will be paying attention. If that phone call comes in or if something pops up during that time for the next week, starting tomorrow, I will have to step away and end the show very, very quickly. So just so you guys know about what's coming up for the current week. Okay? We will see you tomorrow night, God willing. We'll see you tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account, and follow the American Perspective channel. Also, keep in mind as well that if you're already signed in over there, I would love to see a bunch of thumbs up, because that kind of stuff is what Rumble uses to count for all of this. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you tomorrow night. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.
The previous broadcast was produced and is owned by Active Eye Media LLC. All rights reserved.